Indeed, we should begin to overcome that. But since we talked about logistics, let me come to you, Dr. Akiode Afolabi. From your own experience, can we avoid this use, knowing our own infrastructure deficit and so on? I listened to the INEC chairman this afternoon talk about the use of the Air Force, for example, or the airlift of some of these things and all of that. Can we avoid the use of these facilities and rely on purely commercial or civilian facilities like other countries do, knowing that we have this infrastructure deficit, and yet we want to achieve?
But it's been always an issue for INEC, the logistic aspects of it. I could remember that at some point of election, they had contracted some NURTW to help in terms of bringing materials, to polling units. And in the morning, they didn't just turn up.
That's it.
So it's always, so there are some things that they themselves, cannot really, foresee, which you just say happen and it affects the entire, electoral process. But be that as it may, and that's why I think one of the things going forward is the need for us to audit our entire logistic and operational system in the electoral process. We need to look at the system and processes. Something is definitely not right somewhere.
The INEC chairman had talked about the fact that the units will open at 8 a.m.
Yes.
And we find that that same logistic problem causes some polling units not to open at 8 a.m., perhaps around 10.
Maybe that's also one of the reasons why we're a little bit concerned. Because if you look at after 2015 election, it came up fairly well. We didn't really have much of that problem in 2015 elections. And thereafter, we had according to INEC chair, about 192, elections, both the off seasons and all of that, which for us coming from where we are, I think that we have had enough experience, to be able to deal with all the problems. And one good thing is that these issues come up every time, and if you look at, if I take from Anambra election, to Edo, to Ondo, for us, it seems that there was some kind of improvement in terms of dealing with logistics. To the extent that by the time we were getting to Ondo, to Osun, in terms of the time that they come to the polling station, we record almost like 90%, meaning that they found a way of addressing the problem of transportation, ensuring that polling officials arrive on time. They came up with a lot of creativity. Rather than picking it from a particular central place, they have a stop, where they can then pull the materials from to make it get to where they're going, quickly. But, speaking about the off-season election and speaking about, and, it's been something that we ourselves have been pondering about. There are things you can do at those levels. But when it comes to that, 36 states, it becomes an FCC. It makes it much more complicated. But importantly, we should have good plan. We should be able to foresee and also have plan B.
Which is what a lot of people say, that the planning, something is wrong because you have 4 years, whether you're doing off-season election or not. And some people allege that, perhaps after the off-season election, INEC goes to sleep and suddenly wakes up when it's now time for the general election.
No, but I think, yes, and that's why we would say that there is logistical incompetence. There's something really that we really have to nail, we have to name. There are very experienced people on INEC, as national commissioners, as REC, so you would expect more from what we saw. Apparently, INEC was not communicating with the people. Apparently, there were challenges, which might be external and some might be internal, which we were dealing with, which led to what happened, on Friday. For us as observers, we noticed some things that would make us to think, oh, are we really prepared for the election? For example, on Thursday, we got to places where you will pick your observer's kits. Normally, this will be done within from Monday to, so there was a directive that observers will start collecting their kits on Monday, and we didn't get to see the kits until Thursday or Friday. We had people who were in Niger State who were to collect the ID cards, and when they got to Niger State, they found out the names there were Yoruba names. So
and a particular observer I spoke to said she was supposed to observe in Lagos, and her kits were sent to Owerri.
Yeah, we had a lot of that. People that their kids were supposed to be an ID card were supposed to be in Adamawa. They saw their names in Bauchi. So with that, we knew that but we didn't know that that would affect the election.
The conduct.
Yes.
Of
Our fear was that some of the observers will not be able, to participate, on that day, because if you don't have an identity card, there's no way you can access the polling unit. So
is this unique to 2019, or was that the experience in 2015?
No. It wasn't like that in 2015. So that's why I said something definitely went wrong. And that's why it's important to go back there. Because if you look at the history, from 2007, there's always this old noise about logistics. In 2011, 2015, then we're going back 10 years, after, about 8 years after. So there's something that we have not been able to address. And that's why I think there's a need for a total review of the entire INEC's operational and logistical, department. It's important for us to do that moving forward. But we are here already.
All right, then. I'll give 1 minute each to Ambassador Ojiako and Mr. Additional. Your final words on this segment, please.
The first sentence is that no problem is ever solved by technically avoiding the problem. There is no challenge that we have seen in this election that we have not seen before. 2011, there were challenges. 2015, there were challenges. In 2007, there were challenges. And we saw a president who, even after being a product of the challenging election, took a dramatic and definitive step to set up a commission to review our electoral process. This election will provide another opportunity for us to carry out a holistic review so that we can avoid the pitfalls of the past. The second sentence is this: the way we carried on campaign in this election, it will not be an overstatement by me to say it's even frightening to ordinary man on the street. I hope at the end of the day, we do not win the election and lose the country. There is a need for us to wage our wars, to give the electors confidence that they can go out there and vote and go back. There is a need for us to stop this politicization of intelligence. I've had a lot of debates, I've read a lot of things about what are being said by our major practitioners in this current exercise. We need to build confidence. We need to allay the fears of the electorate. We are not doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Additional. Let me allow Ambassador Ojiako have his final words. Ambassador Ojiako.
Indeed, thank you. The only thing to add is that the way we are running elections, particularly this one, we are almost militarizing a civic duty. And it is frightening what the outcomes will be if we do not take a holistic approach to reforming the system we are running. As my colleague here has said, this election is going to offer us another opportunity after the victories have been won and lost to now come together and discuss seriously the systemic changes that are needed in our electoral system.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Ojiako. Thank you very much. We've completely run out of time now, and all that remains for me to thank both Ambassador Ojiako Humphrey and Mr. Dele Additional in our Abuja studios for being our guests on tonight's edition of The Verdict. Thank you very much. We'll take a break, and then we'll be right back.